Welcome to day 438, from a hoarder to minimalist. Put yes in the comment sections if you have more clutter than you're proud of. Dr. V's a yes. I got stuff in the garage I still need to sell. I've got desk drawers and stuff I've got files, I've got paperwork. I threw away a lot last year when Kizzy's mom remarried and sold the house, and I paid for a company to come shred my old physician files now that it's been more than 7 years. And so yeah, I still have junk. I still want to go through my closet. I think I'm going to purge my closet and get a few really nicer shirts, better fitting shirts and stuff like that. So put a yes in the comment section if you have a little more clutter than you're proud of, right? Like, don't open that drawer, don't open that cabinet, don't open that closet. Although we've done pretty good. Wow, there's a lot of comments. Hold on. Oh yes, Lynn Green's a yes. Good morning, Shannon Murphy, Donna, Janet Gann. Yes, yes, yeses. Lots of yeses coming up. All right. So, AC Rosita, yes, yes. Valerie, yes. So, you know, I really like today's video. It's about 12 minutes long, and I've seen a lot of minimalist videos. I really enjoyed this one. So comment if you really liked today's video, because she really documented the reasons why she went from hoarder to minimalist, and she told her whole family story generationally. She talked about her mom and her dad, and then herself, and then she brought in her kids at the end. So you're talking about 3 generations here, and I loved how she spun the story of why they did the things they did. Yes. And it wasn't just like this really stark, like, you need to be a minimalist. Like, it really captured, like, here's why we do it, here's what minimalism means to us, and if you're on your journey, then give us a follow. You know, it's like, wow, it was really nicely edited. It was very emotional. Who heard the part in her voice when she started talking about her mom? Like, her voice cracked because she was getting emotional about it. Tip number 1, hoarder to minimalist. Tip number 1, it's an emotional journey, and that's how she started this. And I love the fact, I've watched a lot of videos. 10 YouTube videos a day on all sorts of topics. This is the first video I've ever seen that gave a warning. Like, hey, if you are easily triggered by emotion, hoarding, death, you grieving, all this stuff, like, proceed with caution. I was like, wow, that's weird. But I thought that was kind of like, okay, now I gotta watch it. You know, it was like this hook. All right, girl, you got me. I'm hooked. Okay, what are you doing here? And you know, it wasn't that emotional for me, but I could see how for some people it could have been triggering. But she is absolutely correct. It is an emotional journey to give up your stuff. For all of you, see, Dr. V tricks you, right? Like, if you put yes in the comment section, you're like, yes, I got too much stuff. There's an emotion attached to it. I promise you, 120%. I used to have bags and bags of old statements from the bank. You know, I had several corporations set up, LLCs, for properties and things like that. And so, and they each had their own bank account, and it was really annoying. And so I get bank statements for each company from multiple different banks. I had letters for mortgages. I had letters from all sorts of stuff, right, while I was going through my bankruptcy. And I kept all of those statements thinking, like, okay, what if they come after me? I need evidence. I need to have proof. And even when I went off to Illinois and then to Albuquerque, and 8 years later, I came back and opened up the garage when Kizzy's mom sold her house, and I was like, okay, I gotta get rid of this stuff, right? And I was thinking about it, and I was like, it's been, you know, it's been 9 years, and they haven't come for me. You know what I mean? Like, they haven't found me out. They haven't come for me. They probably sold the mortgage, you know. I can let it go. But for years, it was so emotional. And I still have drawers and boxes and things and stuff. And I'm like, do I shred it? Do I do whatever? Seriously, pay $300, call a shredding company. There's shredding companies that will come to your house, depending on how much shit you have, will shred all of that paper for you and then recycle the paper. Starting at like around $150 and then more for boxes, more depending on how many containers you might need. So I ended up shredding, and they will not shred textbooks. I tried to get them to shred my old textbook, my old books. They're like, yeah, we won't shred old books. And but it was so emotional. It was so freeing. And I still, to this day, if I open a drawer and I was like, oh, there's a bank statement, like I still feel it. You know what I mean? Like, oh. And if you don't believe it, haven't you ever had an experience where someone you love passes away, or a holiday gathering and somebody breaks out an old picture album and you look through pictures and you see, oh, that was grandma when she was like 20 or in high school. This is grandma's high school graduation picture, and she's got the little dew. The dew, it's a black and white photo, and she looks so regal and elegant, right? Comment if you agree with me. Like these black and white pictures of high school kids from like the 50s, they look so mature. They look so grown up. And then you look at modern pictures, and everybody like I graduated with tried to look grown up, but you look at them and you're like, God, they look like babies. They look like kids. But when you see the black and white photos of your grandparents, you're like, God, they look so adult. Because I think they had to be. You know, it was more expected. They had more responsibility, more stuff. And we've kind of lost track of that. But haven't you ever opened up a drawer and saw an old picture, an old photo, an old letter? You know, do you have that shoebox with love letters, you know, in your closet from high school or college? I still have a shoebox, and those are just memories. I mean, those are memories. I'm not like, you know, that's different. I'm talking about like finding an old picture of your dad and then you start weeping, you know, crying. I find letters from Kizzy that she wrote me little notes and hid them when she was like 5 or 6 years old, and so I still find little notes where she, either on my phone or she wrote something, I love you, Daddy, you're the best daddy in the world, and it just makes you want to cry. Tip number 2, and she says this in the video and I love it: we are very good at boxing things up. That's tip number 2. You have to admit we are very good at boxing things up. 2A, we are very good at boxing up our emotions. You know, she said her mom died and her dad was not a good talker, but he was good at giving her stuff. So she doesn't know anything about her mom. She really doesn't know how they met, what they did, where they traveled, because he didn't talk. And then he dies when she's in her 20s. And but he was really good at collecting things and buying things. So that is an interpretation basically of how he handled the grief. He had 3 Harleys and other cars. He gave them Christmas gifts galore. He gave them collectibles and all sorts of stuff. So that's how he dealt with his grief. And that's easy for us to see, but then you realize, like, okay, I do that too. You know what I mean? I do that too. Well, why do I do it, Dr. V? And the next tip 3, is this. It's the just in case. You know, just in case we need it someday. She says, her dad said, something to remember her by. We hold it so we can remember her by it, just in case we might need this. This will increase in value and pay for your college in the future, these dolls and these collections. See, we all have reasons. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Comment if you've heard this. So, you know, like, oh, what if we need it later? This will appreciate in value. You know, something to remember and buy, right? What I'm trying to say is that we have, as a society, we've developed all of these reasons, listen to me, all of these reasons to buy stuff, to hold on to stuff, because we are not willing to work through the grieving process. Who understands what I'm saying? The reason why we hold on to stuff, and we might need it just in case, something to remember her by, and then we buy more stuff. We buy more and more stuff, and the reason why we do that is because we are not willing to work through our emotions. Can I have an amen? If you agree with me, you understand what I'm trying to say. And that at its core is hoarding. That is the clutter. That is the mess. We are very good at putting things into boxes. We laughed the other week about that meme that said, you know, it all started because I looked at a box and said, this is a really good box. Comment if you've ever done that. And I'm like, I saw that meme and I started laughing. It all started because I looked at a box and I said, this is a really good box. I need to hold this box. This might come in handy. And now you have this garage full of boxes and you never do anything with it. So we box things up, right? Just in case. And then we put it away in the closet. We put it down in the basement. And then there's this emptiness. And we try to fill it back up again. So the lady, like, she talks about her moving from a 900 square foot Chicago bedroom. She had 2 kids, got crowded, moved back to Indiana, 1,900 square foot house. And then it still felt like too much. Like there was still too much clutter, too much stuff. And then her neighbor told her how she went from a 5,000 square foot house down to the same size house and made $30,000. Okay? So this is what I wanted to say. Next tip. Sometimes you need the spark, right? Like you need this conversation. And I loved how she said it. And then one day it happened. So that's the next tip. What are we on? 4? And then one day it happened. One day it happened. I was talking to my neighbor. My neighbor said I went from 5,000 square foot house down to your house and made $30,000. And I was hooked. I was like, what? So you found Marie Kondo. Then you found ways to sell your stuff. You found little homes, right? And then one day it happened. All of y'all need this. All of y'all need this moment where you need this, oh, and then one day it happened moment. So let me ask you this. Let me give you a challenge, and you can talk it with your accountability partner. Do you have a one day it happened moment? And then one day it happened. And then one day I realized. And then, you know, one day I realized my husband was gay. Sorry, John. Sorry, Dennis. I'm always picking on the gay husbands. And then one day it happened. I realized I was never going to get that promotion. You know, it wasn't going to happen for me. Or like, I'll give you another one. Here's a big aha for some people. And then one day it happened. I realized I was smart enough. And then one day it happened. I realized I was the boss and I was deserving of that promotion. And then one day it happened. What the fuck does that have to do with my weight loss surgery, Dr. V? And then one day it happened. I realized I'm stronger than food. I realized that I'm not a victim. This is good stuff. And then one day it happened. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I woke up. I was ready for change, right? So that's your challenge for today. One thing is I want you to write down, did you have a moment when you realized, wow, it happened for me? I'll tell you mine. I've told it before, but you know, it was when I first started doing periscopes. I did 150 periscopes, and this is when going live was new. And when you go live, all you're doing is you're looking at yourself. So I'm looking at myself the whole time, and then I went back and re-watched it to upload it to YouTube. And so I did 150 lives, watching them each twice. So really 300 times looking at my ugly mug when I had my, and then one day it happened. One day it happened, I realized I wasn't that ugly. Like, I wasn't that bad looking. I was okay for TV. I could do this. I could have a TV show. I could go live. And then, because what happened was, I saw Al Roker, and you know, the weatherman on NBC, on the morning show, and he actually had a gastric bypass and dropped all this weight. Now he looks kind of weird, you know, he's just this big head. And I saw him, and I was like, if Al Roker can be on TV, I can be on TV. No offense to Al Roker, but you know what I'm saying. He's not Tom Cruise. And so that's what I want you to do, is think about, like, did I have that moment? And then one day it happened. I talked to my neighbor. I joined up for resellers. I believed in myself. I got my finances in order. I really believed I could handle my own banking. I opened my own bank account. I started my own business. I said yes, whatever it is. What was your moment? And then one day it happened. So, next tip. So she reads a book, Marie Kondo's The Art of Tidying Up, right? And started to do things, and then it kicked into gear. But here's the next tip. It was a 5-year journey. So I want you to understand, it doesn't happen overnight. You can, if you want, to go from 60 to 0 or 0 to 60 and be like, I'm fucking getting rid of it all, Dr. V. Or you can do her method, where she's like, I just slowly unboxed. I just slowly unboxed the emotion. I just slowly opened up. I just slowly tackled one room at a time, one drawer at a time. I didn't go all crazy. And she was very honest. She goes, I want you to know, this was not like an instant journey. It's a 5-year journey. So I want you to understand that. It's okay. This weight loss journey, whatever it is you're going through. I know Kate Aarons, if she's watching, you know, she's something like 12, 15 years post-op. And she'll be the first one to tell you, I'm still on this journey, right? Some of my patients now, I've been retired 3 years now. So my last patient is 3 years post-op. You know, Kathy Contreras is probably 5 years post-op. And Kathy and Shan are probably sitting there thinking, Shan's my patient too, and you know, Tabitha's my patient too, sitting there thinking, where the fuck, 5 years, it flew by. Yes? Can I have an amen if your journey just flew by, like the years are just flying by? So, but the point is, it could really change. Like, a lot can get changed in 5 years. In 5 years, she unboxed all of that emotion. She undid it. Does that make sense? I mean, she worked through her mom's death. She worked through her dad's death. And then she also said that same year she had lost 8 people. She worked through the hoarding, worked through the paper. And then, some of y'all are saying, I need a second aha. I need a second moment. So her second moment, she goes, and then it happened again. My husband and I decided to get rid of everything and move to Germany. And finally, my kids would have family. My kids would be around grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins. Because, do you guys understand her aha? For that moment, that second moment, she realized that the changes she was going to make to her life far outweighed all of her clutter. Comment if you understand this, because it's very powerful. She had this moment. The second moment that changed her life was that the benefits of moving and getting rid of everything far outweighed all of her clutter. And she got everything down, all of the memories, all the essential stuff back down to just one box. And that's what she was crying at the beginning when she was opening it up, that one box in Germany. If you go back and watch the video, that's why she was on the floor crying, because she had gotten all of her years, all of her memories down to one box, and she brought it to Germany with her, and she displayed it very lovingly, one by one, and it was an emotional closure to her life's journey. So at some point, you guys need to have this aha where you go, wow, if I make this change, it far outweighs all the shit that's weighing me down, all the emotional baggage, all my reasons. Oh, you're loving this one. All the, we might need it someday. Something, all those excuses. It will appreciate in value. It's worth holding on to. Something to remember her by, just in case. You need that second aha moment where you go, wow, I need radical change because all of these just in case reasons don't serve me. They're weighing me down. It's not good. Does this make sense? It's very emotional. So Erica had one moment when she opened up and she's like, man, maybe we should move to Costa Rica. It would be cool. I could learn Spanish. She says she's about 70% fluent in Spanish. She's like, I could be 100% fluent in Spanish. Mason will be there 2 years. We'll have private tutors. I'm like, Erica, and she's like, I don't know about the schooling, and what if she gets behind on schooling? I'm like, schooling? Erica? I was like, Mason's gonna have private tutors who come in every single day. Like, what are you talking about? You're gonna have a maid. You love having the house cleaner every day, like once a week coming? You're gonna have a maid come in every day to make you breakfast. You know, she's like, what? So she had this and then it happened to me moment. Like, okay, I can do this. Like that possibility far outweighs any fears of being kidnapped or robbed or missing her family. And I'm like, dude, your family can come visit. You know, they need to get their passports, you know, that sort of stuff. You know? We'll explore the jungles, the beaches, the volcanoes. Kizzy can write papers and projects. You know, she can come visit for a month. You know, like it's stuff. You know what I mean? You guys need that moment. You need to have this thing where you go, okay, like playing small no longer serves me. Having all these excuses no longer serves me. Like being scared to go for the promotion, going back to school and all that stuff. It's no longer serving me. I need to rock it out. Okay? Y'all need that moment. Last tip. Let's do this. Elevator tip. Let's do this. But Dr. V, if I get rid of all my stuff, what do I do? It's gonna be empty. Like, oh my God. I'll give you one that a lot of people say. A house is a house, but it doesn't feel like a home. I like my home. I like my home the way it is. I like this feeling, yeah, that's the point. Like, you're boxing your emotions. That's what it means. Like, my house is not cluttered, but it feels like a home. No one comes over and says, oh, well, this doesn't feel nice. Of course it does. It just doesn't have clutter. So the fact that you're saying, like, I want it to feel homey is basically the same as saying, like, I don't want to deal with these emotions. I've become comfortable with this clutter and the way I have. I'm just set in my ways. Is another way of saying, like, I don't want to deal with it. Because the elevator tip is this. It's like, okay, but Dr. V, what do I do with all the empty spaces? And she says it in this video. They're not empty spaces. This is the elevator tip that's very powerful. They're not empty spaces. We do cartwheels in these empty spaces. We fly airplanes in these empty spaces. We have wrestling matches in these empty spaces. We make memories in these empty spaces. You know, Dr. V, aren't you worried about going to Costa Rica? What about this and that? Like, dude, I am going to make new memories in these empty spaces. I'm gonna learn some Spanish in these empty spaces. I'm gonna fill my heart. You know, I'm going to pay extra to have Kizzy come stay with me, you know, or fly back more often to see her, you know, all this sort of stuff. They're not empty spaces. And the fact that you're nervous about the empty spaces means you're not willing to face your shit. It's Michael Singer, you're not willing to deal with your stuff. In case you haven't realized it, that is all of May. That's how we started. Michael Singer, you have to work through your stuff. Dr. V, I'm tired of minimalism. Well, you're gonna have more minimalism videos because that's what we're trying to tackle in May. Motherfucker, he did it again. Comment if you're like, oh, motherfucker, he just did it again. That's the key. You will not get to the peace until you deal with your stuff. I like my house homey. No, you don't want to deal with your stuff. I like it the way it is. You don't want to deal with your stuff. The way it is means you've regained 20 pounds. The way it is means you've been stuck on this plateau for 3 months, 6 months. The way it is means like you're 4 years post-op and you're like regaining weight. You're still stuck in like passionateless marriage. It's not working for you. It's not working. That little shit town is not working for you. There's nothing there for you. Move. I gotta have my family. No, you don't. You hate your family. All of y'all blame your obesity on your family. You blame stress eating on your family. You blame the holidays on your family. Dude, quit using your family as a reason. That's the stuff you're not willing to unbox. You're not really willing to tackle. You can do this. You need to do this. Bonus tip. Bonus tip. It's not I can do this. It's not I can do this. It's I need to do this. I must do this. You know, like there's a whole energy shift when you go from like, wow, okay, I believe I can do this. I believe I can do this. Like your self-talk, right? You need more positive self-talk. You need to like praise yourself more. I can do this. I can do this. At some point, you need to fucking yell in your head and you need to go, you need to do this. You must do this. This is Tracy Chapman. It's Fast Car. You got to leave tonight or live and die this way. You're gonna live and die in this little shitty town. I'm telling y'all, man. Like you've forgotten because it's been a year since we talked about Fast Car, man. Who's like, what? Fast Car was last June. It's like 2 weeks away. My life changed when you talked about Fast Car, Dr. V. Yes, and you're still living there. You're still stuck there. You're still in that mindset. You're still not willing to open up. Like, what more can I do? Whoa, Dr. V's taking this challenge to a whole nother level. Fuck yeah. Let's do this. You must do this.